Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Russell here, and you might already know that Bill C-30, the Budget Implementation Act, well, it's set to make a number of changes if it's able to pass through the House of Commons, and included inside of those changes is an extension to the CRB program, but also a drop of around $800 in the amount of the CRB, and this Bill C-30, has been making some steps here in the House of Commons slowly but surely, and I have an update for you on where it is currently in that process, as well as some opposition that seems to be coming up from opposing parties, mainly the NDP and the Green Party, who seem to be pushing for some changes to be made. But before we get into that, a quick reminder that coupon code INVEST for 45% off of the Canada Money Mastery program, well, that is expiring tonight. So if you've been interested in the program, this is the cheapest it's ever going to be. The program's constantly growing based on course member requests, and you get access to all future videos for a lifetime. So if you're interested in that, make sure to check that out before that coupon code expires. But now let's get into exactly what has been going on all about this Bill C-30. So we've officially had a vote at second reading, and let me show you the results here. You can see it right here. They voted on Bill C-30, and it was successfully adopted at second reading and referred to the Finance Committee of the House of Commons. And you can see the votes here, 212 to 119. This is usually the number that we see when all of the other parties vote in favor of it and the Conservatives vote against it. That's generally how the numbers play out. It's interesting here that we did get that number of 212 because there have been some rumblings of some people that are not actually entirely happy with some of the aspects of this Bill C-30 in opposition parties, but we're going to get into that in just a minute. This website actually tracks all of the steps any given bill is working its way through, and this new vote is reflected here, saying that it has been adopted at second reading and it's now been referred to the committee in the House of Commons. So essentially what that means is now it's going on to the next step, to the Finance Committee. Now, so we're through first reading, we're through the second reading, now it goes to the Finance Committee, and they can either determine that, hey, we don't want to make any amendments, we don't want to make any changes, and come back to the House of Commons at third reading, which they'll likely accept. Or they could potentially make some amendments inside of this Finance Committee that could pose some changes to this bill, at which point it would all be debated again at third reading in the House of Commons. If it passes that, then it goes to the Senate, they do their debate, and then it gets passed. There's a lot of steps here, but it may not take quite as long as you might think. Let me show you why I say that. First off, as soon as this budget was released and this bill was brought forward, Bill C-30, well, the Senate started taking a look at it before they were supposed to, based on the typical timelines. So that means that they've already taken a look at the bill, and it may not take as long to make it through the Senate at this point when it actually gets to the Senate, because they're already familiar with the bill. They don't have to start from square one. And they've actually been doing the exact same thing in the House of Commons Finance Committee. I'll show you here, I'll just tab over, but you can see here, as of May 17th, right here, I'm gonna zoom in so you can see it a little more clearly. Well, they've been having a lot, or actually as of May 11th, a lot of meetings all about the subject matter of Bill C-30. Now, again, this is before we even had the vote on the second reading, so they've been taking the initiative here and taking a look at it before they were actually supposed to, and they actually did. I added it up, and this is 31 hours of committee meetings, even before the bill is even technically in their court. Now, some people say, hey, Russell, have you ever been interested in running for some sort of political office? And for this reason, I usually say no. I don't think I can manage sitting through 30 hours of talking about a bill. That seems like quite a lot to me. But now that they've actually had this pass the second reading and it's formally passed on to the Finance Committee, well, now it's not just on the subject matter of Bill C-30, they're actually able to study Bill C-30, and based on the fact that they've done 30 hours of committee meetings, there is a chance that this could get pushed through rather quickly. But there is one interesting thing that we need to note here about this Finance Committee, is that they have the opportunity to present amendments. Now, based on some recent statements, both from Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, and Annamie Paul, the leader of the Green Party, well, it seems like there might be some opposition to certain CRB-related clauses. The leader of the Green Party actually held a press conference just this morning talking about how now their party is coming out and saying, we do not believe in this reduction of benefits right now. Let me show you exactly what she said.
And then finally, the Canada Recovery Benefit. This was sort of slipped in there very quietly into the budget. There hasn't been much talk about it, though I do credit and thank the NDP for also mentioning this and asking the Prime Minister questions about it in the House. The Canada Recovery Benefit is scheduled to be cut from $500 per month to $300 per month next month. Now, if you need that benefit and if you are receiving that benefit, you know full well that $300 a month in many parts of this country simply is not enough to live on. It is far below minimum wage. It is not going to cover your rent. It is not going to allow you to take care of yourself and your family. So if we accept that we are going to need the recovery benefit for a number of months to come, then it has to be at an amount that allows people to meet their needs. The rate should not be cut. It should be maintained at its existing level, and we're going to continue to make that point.
Now, some of you probably caught this, but she does slip up with her words a little bit here. She said that it's being lowered from $500 a month down to $300 a month, but of course that's the weekly rate. Don't worry, the benefit's not being cut down to $300 a month. That would be a little bit extreme from its current rate. But on top of these comments about the CRB, she also in this press conference called for a re-implementation of the Canada Emergency Student Benefit, saying that students aren't able to get the summer jobs that they previously were able to pre-COVID. She also calls for something that is a residential rental subsidy or rental benefit for people who are struggling to pay rent right now, much like the Canada Emergency Rent Subsidy for the business side of things. We have never seen that on the residential side of things, so Annamie Paul is calling for that to happen. The reason I'm not making a video on those individually is because it's really only the Green Party who's calling from this, and let's face it, they don't have a whole lot of sway when it comes to the political direction of Canada, but you know who does have a lot of sway when it comes to the political direction of Canada, especially the situation right now? Well, it's Jagmeet Singh and the NDP. Now, they've also called for the CRB to be kept the same, extended, but kept at the same rate. And it's going to be interesting here as we go forward into these future Finance Committee meetings to see whether or not the NDP members of Parliament who are a part of that committee will be proposing amendments to make that change, right? The NDP has a lot of power here, right? Because for the past little while, the NDP certainly have been propping up the Liberal government, right? Voting in favor of many of their motions because they don't want an election to be triggered. But if they take a hard line on this CRB issue and don't allow this bill to pass unless that change is made, well, the Liberals likely wouldn't have the votes to cover them so that they can actually get this bill passed. So if the NDP do propose these amendments, it's likely, or at least more likely than some other parties, that it could be changed. And then if it is, I'll certainly update you right here on the channel. I know in many cases it feels like through the House of Commons, things tend to move at a snail pace, but I'm curious on what you think about all of it. Do you agree with the NDP and Annamie Paul, or do you think people should start to be sort of weaned off of these benefits, encouraging them to go back into the workforce, or do you think that's not even a reality right now with the ongoing lockdowns that are still happening in many parts of the country? Either way, let me know down in the comments. I read every single one and reply to as many as I possibly can. And of course, like I said, that coupon code is expiring tonight, so make sure to take a look at the link in the description for the Canada Money Mastery Program, where we teach you everything about money you should have been taught back in high school, constantly adding new stuff, and you get lifetime access when you sign up. So check it out, see if it's a good fit for you. If it is, I'll see you in there. But with all of that said, thanks so much for watching, everybody. I really hope this video helped you out at least a little bit, and I'll see you next time.
This channel is supported by viewers like you. Thanks, channel members.